Center for Youth Wellness, where health begins with hope. We'd like to extend a great big welcome to the CYW family. As we all know, every company has a different feel to it, a company culture, so to speak. We're a group of people who are passionate about our work and the value we bring to the community. This is an organization of learning, collaboration, and science. We're a high-spirited, ambitious group of people who are looking to create a change in the community at large, as well as on a national level. We celebrate diversity and change. We understand the effects of trauma on our clients, as well as on ourselves, and we're looking to do all we can to help. We are grounded in our love, laughter, and the common goal of creating a better good for others. We are all healers. Health begins with hope. In 2005, California Pacific Medical Center, also known as CPMC, appointed Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris to spearhead efforts to decrease health disparities in children. In 2007, she founded the Bayview Child Health Center, also known as BCHC. And while she proved that access to health services can decrease asthma episodes and increase immunizations, she knew that more was needed to reverse disparities. Recognizing the impact of adversity on health, she has drawn on varied research to develop treatment protocols to improve the health of people living in poverty and exposed to violence and trauma. In 2008, Dr. Burke-Harris joined forces with Kamala Harris, then San Francisco District Attorney, and Dr. Victor Carrion of Stanford Lucile Packard Children's Hospital to create the Center for Youth Wellness, to serve as a national model and testing ground for best practices for the benefit of children in San Francisco, with a focus on Bayview Hunters Point in the southeast sector of the city. The intention of the CYW is to tighten a safety net for children's health by integrating the medical provided by BCHC, mental health and family support interventions, while also providing evidence-based practices for mitigating the long-term effects of ACEs on children's physical and emotional health. At the beginning of 2013, we were housed at 1329 Evans Avenue, a temporary space where we were creating and getting ready for our official launch at 3450 3rd Street. Getting permits approved and community buy-in wasn't without its challenges. There was some vocal opposition to the 3rd Street location because the building is near a sewage treatment plant. Bayview Hunters Point has a history of a community being plagued with violence, poverty, and pollution. This community also has a history of being vocal about real issues and being ignored. A hearing downtown was called with the city. Being sensitive to the climate as well as putting the well-being of children first, the leadership at CYW decided to have several independent environmental studies completed to ensure the safety of our building. The Center for Youth Wellness came together as a team and asked the community for help. Over 200 people showed support for CYW through letters and attendance to the hearing. The vote was unanimous. Permits were approved to open the doors at 3450 3rd Street. The need in Bayview for high-quality health and mental health services is critical, and we have a mission and a strong commitment to help our community get better. Some of our partners are the Bayview Child Health Center, also known as BCHC, UCSF's Child Trauma Research Project, also known as CTRP, Stanford's Early Life Stress Research Program, the Community Advisory Committee, the Community Research Advisory Board, also known as the CRB, the Child Adolescent Sexual Abuse Center, CASARC, and the Tipping Point Community. The mission of the Center for Youth Wellness is to improve the health of children and adolescents exposed to adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. Our mission is threefold: to prevent, to screen, to heal the impacts of ACEs and toxic stress. ACEs have been documented to measurably increase risk for chronic physical and mental illness and have a significant prevalence in the Bayview Hunters Point, our priority target area. During 2013, we served approximately 200 children impacted by ACEs and toxic stress, with at least one type of service or referral. In partnership with CPMC, the Bayview Child Health Center, the CYW employs an interdisciplinary approach that provides a rare view into the entire experience of the urban child. The CYW's policy agenda is centered around the organization's three guiding principles: prevent, screen, and heal toxic stress in children and adolescents exposed to ACEs. Over the next 6 years, the CYW's policy plan aims to embed early identification and interventions for toxic stress as a fundamental piece of children's preventative health care. Year 1 will increase knowledge and awareness of toxic stress and ACEs among parents, pediatricians, and policymakers. Year 2 to 3 will advocate for the CYW's validated ACEs screen to become a part of the pediatric standard of care. Years 4 to 6 will advocate Medi-Cal mandated ACEs screening and reimbursement for the delivery of CYW validated interventions to address toxic stress in children and adolescents exposed to ACEs. There were two groundbreaking studies that were the impetus for the Center for Youth Wellness. Dr. Vince Folletti at Kaiser Permanente in San Diego interviewed 17,421 adults, 75% of which were Caucasian, 75% college educated. He found that 12.6 had 4 or more adverse childhood experiences. Dr. Burke Harris conducted a study of the patients here at the Baby Child Health Center. There were 701 participants, 58% which were African American. She also found that 12% of those participants had 4 or more ACEs. Here are the types of ACEs or adverse childhood experiences as identified in the original study. Abuse, physical, emotional, or sexual. Neglect, physical or emotional. Household dysfunction, having a caregiver who has mental illness or an incarcerated relative, a mom who is treated violently, or having a caregiver who suffers from substance abuse, or divorce. The impact of ACEs is great. For example, if you have 4 or more ACEs, you are 2.5 times as likely to have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, difficulty breathing, 2.4 times as likely to experience hepatitis, 4.5 times as likely to experience depression, 12.2 times as likely to experience suicidality. In other words, the more ACEs you have, the more likely you'll have health problems in your adulthood. The CYW's intention is to transform the delivery of primary care for children in a way that recognizes and addresses ACEs as a major risk factor for chronic disease. We do this by using a groundbreaking approach of health, wellness, and mental health interventions to prevent and undo the chemical, physiological, and neurodevelopmental results of ACEs. Recent studies have shown that exposure to ACEs, predominantly through the dysregulation of the fight or flight pathway, activates a host of epigenetic, hormonal, and inflammatory processes that result in the progression to chronic disease in adulthood. In response, the CYW employs an approach that includes comprehensive case management, mental and behavioral health and wellness interventions, wellness nursing, and family support services designed with the science in mind. The CYW aims to show that these interventions that include cognitive-based therapies, mindfulness-based awareness, meditation, as well as promising practices such as biofeedback, are possible strategies for reducing the sequelae of ACEs. Here at the CYW, we pride ourselves in being a health-focused, well-informed organization. Here are some words and ideas that you'll become more familiar with as you continue your career here at CYW. Trauma-informed care. A system where all members of the organization understand the impacts of trauma on children, on the caregivers, and the staff. Emphasis is placed on resilience and strengthening. A trauma-informed child and family service system is one which all parties involved and recognize and respond to the impact of traumatic stress on those who have contact with the system, including children, caregivers, and service providers. Self-care. As a part of a trauma-informed system, regularly engaging in activities that aid in good mental health and wellness, for instance, yoga, exercise, reading, and eating healthy foods. Positive stress. Normal and essential part of healthy development. There'll be brief increases in heart rate and blood pressure. and there might be mild elevations in hormonal levels. For example, you're getting ready for a tough test at school, or you're getting ready for a playoff game. Tolerable stress is different. This is when the body's alert system is activated to a greater degree. Activation is time limited and buffered by a caring adult. Brain and organs have an opportunity to recover. For example, you've been in a car accident, there is a death of a loved one, or a natural disaster. Toxic stress occurs with strong, frequent, or prolonged adversity. This kind of stress can disrupt brain architecture and other organs and systems. There is an increased risk of stress-related disease and cognitive impairment. For example, chronic abuse, neglect, caregiver substance dependence, and caregiver mental illness. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that's triggered by a terrifying event. Symptoms may include flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety, as well as uncontrollable thoughts about the event. HPA axis, or the stress response. Hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal axis stress response. This is the body's fight or flight response. This is the chemical reaction in your body that decides if you're ready to run or fight someone trying to rob you. The HPA axis also regulates the body's processes like digestion and the reproductive system, as well as metabolism. Prefrontal cortex. Now this is important. This is the part of the brain that regulates mood, emotional, and cognitive function, including judgment. This is the decision-making part of the brain. Here's where your executive functioning and regulation happen. It's located in the front of your brain. Amygdala. This is the part of the brain that's involved in emotional processing. It's the survival or the primitive responses that are housed here. It's your emotional center. This is the brain that processes fear and where your autonomic responses are activated. The brain stem, or sometimes you'll hear people call it the reptilian brain or the lizard brain. It's located at the posterior part of the brain. It's connected to the spinal cord and handles basic functions like heart rate, breath, sleep, and eating. It's the earliest part of the brain's evolution. Brain architecture. All of the parts that make up the actual brain. This is the actual brain itself. It is shaped by experience through neuroplasticity, the network of neurons and synapses that are susceptible to damage when exposed to chronic and constant stress. Parts of the brain can shrink, like the prefrontal cortex or the thinking part of your brain, due to overexposure to trauma. Neuron. A neuron is a specialized cell that transmits nerve impulses, a nerve cell. Its job is to carry messages between the brain and other parts of the body. Synapse. This is the place where neurotransmitters float. It's a connection between two neurons. Dendrite. These are the branch projections of a neuron that act to conduct the electrochemical stimulation received from other neural cells in the neuron body. Neurotransmitter. Hormones that are released by neurons. Chemicals released by neurons might be like adrenaline or cortisol. Adrenaline. Adrenaline is a short-term stress hormone. It assists with an acute stress response. It also helps regulate blood pressure. Cortisol. Cortisol is an acute and a long-term stress hormone. Chronic secretion of cortisol can have an effect on the brain architecture in the long run. Cortisol is toxic to the hippocampus, and the hippocampus is the part of the brain that supports learning and memory. Neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize or rewire itself by forming new neural connections. Plasticity is the iterative process by which experience shapes the brain, allowing it to be exposed to new information, which in turn shapes brain function. The EBD assessment, Echo-Biodevelopmental Assessment. It's a detailed historical interview the clinical team conducts to begin to contain the client's history. MDR, or multidisciplinary rounds. This is the weekly meeting in which incoming cases are presented by our partner pediatricians and reviewed for intake with the clinical team. This is an exciting part of our organization. It isn't often pediatricians and mental health workers have the opportunity to discuss clients and patients. Having discussion from the lens of different disciplines, looking at the client holistically, increases the quality of care. After the MDR and case presentation and updates happen, the intake process can be completed. Wellness coordinators and nurses or therapists are assigned, and referrals are made if necessary. At the Center for Youth Wellness, we offer a variety of services. We have an integrated system of care through our partnership with the Baby and Child Health Center. Wellness coordination is in the middle. Wellness coordination is the central relationship anchor for CYW families. We offer resource brokering, care coordination, emotional support, and psychoeducation. We have wellness nursing. Our wellness nursing is a home visiting model. The wellness nurse can conduct nutritional assessment, check in with goals, and create goals. For instance, if you have a child who is experiencing diabetes, they can talk about sugar intake and educate parents about developmental levels. School nurses can also coordinate with wellness nurses for asthma medication and create an asthma plan. They also help with outside referrals if we can't accommodate the family here. We also offer Q-centered therapy in partnership with Stanford University. Q-centered therapy is appropriate for children 8 years or older. There are 15 to 18 sessions, and they focus on skill building and coping tools. One of our partners, the Child Trauma Research Project, offers assessment and treatment to children birth through 5 who have experienced interpersonal traumas, including domestic violence, physical and sexual abuse, separation from a caregiver, and community violence. Services are offered in English and Spanish with additional capacity for Portuguese and French. The service delivery team is comprised of a multidisciplinary group of staff and trainees that includes psychologists, social workers, pre- and post-doctoral psychology fellows, and psychiatric residents, many of whom are bicultural as well as bilingual. All services are free of charge. We also offer biofeedback. Biofeedback is a treatment technique in which people are trained to improve their health by using signals from their own bodies. Psychologists use it to help patients learn to control stress and create relaxation in themselves. We also offer group acupuncture. The sessions are 20 to 60 minutes long. There's soft, calming background music playing during the sessions. You'll feel a light pressure or tingling from a thin needle placed in your ear. Acupuncture has been known to relieve and offer relaxation of body and mind. Children can also participate in acupressure. Needles won't be used. We also offer a legal clinic on Mondays from 1 to 5 p.m. through the Legal Services for Children. A variety of legal issues can be addressed through the legal clinic free of charge. Hopefully this gives you an overview of how CYW came to be, our mission, and how we aim to accomplish it. Welcome aboard. Again, we'd like to extend a great big welcome to the Center for Youth Wellness, where health begins with hope.